All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Manhattan Committee for 11's Youth and Education Committee meetings. The time is now, this meeting is called to order at 6:35 p.m. Today, we're joined by Angel Muscane, our district manager. Next slide. All right, before we begin, a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Members should not engage in back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. When recognized, all such remarks should be pertaining to CB11 business, or questions about the agenda topics will be made on the record. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. All right, we will now call the roll.
Committee members, when I call your name, please answer present. Kareem Kauser. Rosa Diaz.
Present.
David Giordano.
Present.
John Green here. Annie Hampton.
I have it on my computer.
Christina Johnson. Sage Mason.
Present.
Jennifer Meyer. Asher Rodriguez.
Present.
Isaac Scott. Sure you, Isaac. Yeah, okay. Russell Schuler.
Present.
We have a phone.
This month's agenda was distributed in advance. If any committee members have any objections to the agenda, please raise your hand now. All right, seeing no hands, the agenda for this month is adopted. The February 2024 meeting minutes were distributed in advance. I think I forgot. Does anyone have any objections to adopting them as they are? All right, see no hands, we'll continue. The minutes for this meeting will be taken by me. So does anyone have any announcements? Okay. See no announcements, we'll continue. All right, informational updates. The first item is drifting from the plan, changes to early childhood budgets and is that the independent budget office who's presenting that? Is there anyone here from the independent budget office? Online or in person?
I thought that was advocate for children's.
It is.
Isn't
It
it
says
advocate?
independent budget office.
Let's just go on to the next thing.
All right. Is Dr. Christie here from the Department of Education?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, you have your 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's so great to see everyone. Oh, is that Tanisha Grant? Oh, it's so great to see you. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Tanisha is so amazing. I can feel her energy through the screen. So always great to be in presence with you. I just want to thank everyone here. Thank you to our Community Board 11. Tomorrow, in full transparency, we have our CEC meeting at 6 o'clock. It's hybrid. I'll have a more robust presentation as far as with more of the updates right now. Just so that everyone knows, last week, the high school offer letters went out. This week, there are a lot of virtual sessions for families. I will put my email in the chat. If anyone is having concerns, please have them reach out to our office so that we can support them. Summer Rising applications are also open and available. And please encourage families. If any school needs additional support, our parent coordinators actually have additional resources that are available in the community so that we can make sure that every family gets an option. Yes, we have Summer Rising, but there's also some amazing camps that are available. So really trying to make sure that we match students with all the great opportunities that are really out there. Those are two main things that are coming up. We also are having a State of the District on March 20th. You are all invited. It's going to be at Manhattan Science Center from 9 to 12 in the auditorium. And you'll get to hear our updates with the DCEP, which is our district's comprehensive education plan, and hear about how we are making progress across the district and some things that are taking place. Those are the main things that are coming up. I know that we also had the Hidden Voices curricula announcement last week. There's a lot of great things that are going on in the district. And if I'm missing anything, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than willing to connect with each and every single one of you if you have any questions or concerns, or just to connect people with more resources. We do have a pop-up community resource fair that's taking place on March 19th. That's a Tuesday. This Saturday, and please spread the word. I will also put it in social media. It's open to everyone. We have another community resource fair taking place at PS 38. So again, that's open to everyone. We have, last year was the first year to have it at PS 38, and it was really successful despite the rain. We didn't have the crowd that we wanted. And so we've really decided that we want to open it up to the whole community to just share those resources that are available. So CEC tomorrow night. Saturday is the community resource fair. I'm like getting my dates. March 18th, we have a literacy town hall where I'm actually inviting every single educator to connect with me about literacy as liberation and how we're going to support all of our educators. We actually money. And I'm looking at David. This makes me excited, where we're going to open up some PD opportunities for our CBOs, paraprofessionals, everyone, just to learn more about the science of reading and the different resources that we have available to support our young people with reading on grade level, but beyond just reading, but listening, writing, reading, and speaking. So again, thank you for inviting me to this space. I also want to just thank Community Board 11 for always supporting us in every initiative. And yeah, we're just grateful for the partnership. So please, if you have concerns, our role is here to serve. And that's my main goal, is to serve the community to the best of my ability and to continue to, well, actually, that's another thing which I was going to share, but I am applying to 2 grants as a district, just so that everyone knows. We have one school that doesn't have an after-school program. So out of all of our 23 schools, there's only one that doesn't have its own after-school program, and that is Central Park East 1. They usually partner with Scan Harbor or, send children to other schools, but we really wanted them to have something in-house. And so we're applying for a grant. They have selected, the school community has selected Wild Arts to be like a 3K pre-K after-school program. So that's one thing that we're partnering with. And then based on the needs of the community, we've had a lot of schools want more after-school programs for 3K and pre-K. And so our other grant is going to be prioritizing the schools that need that after-school for 3K and pre-K. So those are 2 grants that we are applying for. And I'm just lifting those so that you can hear how we're trying to take the voices of the community and address those concerns that we hear. On another positive note, our young people from 112, they advocated for their playground to be renovated, and Senator Serrano is dedicating money to update that playground for them. So the students are really excited that they put the pen to the paper and that the senator came and visited, and now they're getting the funding to renovate their playground. So that's some good news. We don't always hear all the good news, so I just wanted to share some good things happening. So again, thank you, and I'll put my email in the chat, and yeah, thank you for all that you do. Thanks.
All right, that's also news to hear about 112. I went there when I was younger. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Christie?
David.
Oh, David. Oh, my bad. David, go.
No, that's all right. Dr. Christie, it's really great to hear about the trying to get the funding and secure for early childhood. That has been a big concern in this community, particularly now as more schools have early childhood and pre-K. Parents that have an 8-year-old and after school have that 4-year-old who needs after school as well. So that's really great to hear. The other thing, CPE, I know we got about 20 of their kids that we pick up and bring over to the after school at 72. So I know that's a big need. One of the things that we talked about in our district needs, and I think ties in perfectly with also the chancellor's initiative around literacy and reading, is we were curious because we've done a lot of advocating in this community around the libraries that are the public libraries. So one of the members had asked and inquired, whether, maybe one of the months that you come, just talk a little bit about what libraries that we have here in District 4 schools. I know we had a meeting in one beautiful library, I think it was last year, I can't even remember what school. Not today, but maybe next month or the month after, just give a little update what we are with that and how, who may not have one and how we can better support that as well.
Absolutely. I can definitely thank you. And for April, I will definitely have more information about our libraries. It is an initiative of the chancellor. It is a priority. And also not only having them in our schools, but in our community, right? And yes, I will definitely come prepared in April to give everyone an update about our libraries and which ones have like an active librarian, because we have some schools where they have a library, but they might not have a certified librarian.
Yeah, I know. 72, we got a great library. And, we
Yeah.
use it,
That's dope.
but we don't have a librarian. And I think librarians play other kinds of
Mhm.
social, emotional supports to youth
Mhm.
as well. So anything we
Absolutely.
can support.
Yep, absolutely. But I will definitely, thank you for lifting that, and I can definitely bring that information for the next meeting. We are having a huge, I think it's April 18th. I have to get the date, Pura Belpre Art in the Park, or Library in the Park across from 007. We are having a huge partnership with the library and donating books to the community. And I'll definitely be able to come in April to share that information too. Okay, thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions for Dr. Christie? All right, seeing no further questions, we're gonna continue. Who's next? I think it's CC4. Is there anyone? Elizabeth is president now, right?
Right, I have some, but I think Dr. Christie already touched on a lot of things, but I can share about Manhattan High School, so if that's okay.
All right.
You have the slides, if by any chance?
Who's that?
The slide that I sent, it's a little like a one
I
page.
didn't receive. Maybe you sent it to Khalid or something?
You said.
Or
that.
prior to Khalid, and I'm
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Sorry about that, he's on leave.
Sorry, well, I can just say it, Dr. Christie, like she mentioned that, our meeting, our CEC meeting is tomorrow at PS 38 at 6 p.m. She also mentioned, about summarizing, I don't remember, she mentioned about that there's like a webinar tonight at 6:30, and, also, let me see, when it's Thursday, there's also a webinar on how to apply, what it is and everything, and you can visit myschools.newyorkcity, or you can even email them at summer@schools.newyorkcity.gov, or again, Nancy Pereira, you can also email her. Also, we have Manhattan High School's President's Council meeting next week on Tuesday at 7 p.m. We're gonna have presentations by the district attorney's office. on internet safety and cyberbullying, and we're gonna have, high school superintendent update. We're also having Aspen Horizons coming to present. Manhattan High School, we partnered with, Sustainable Fashion Community Center, in 1795 Lexington Avenue to support artist Benjamin Bongwan and, collect 20,000 plastic beauty and household bottles for Earth Day art installation. And, if any high school, if you have a high school student that would like to support, sort everything out, we welcome them. And also save the date, Dr. Christie does a bi-monthly Cafe con Christie, and it's like a beautiful space for us to like just share whatever we have in mind, any good things, questions, concerns, just like another safe space that she provides for all parents, all educators, anyone that wants to join. It's on Friday, April 19 via Zoom. And, if any questions, in the slide that hopefully Asher shares, I have Dr. Christie's email, Nancy Pereira's email, Lenny Spatino email, who, are the District 4 Family Coordinator and, Leadership Coordinator, and, other emails, that they can share. That's it. Any questions? I think I'm okay.
All right, I just wanna mention, because I know that Summer Rising was mentioned, the SYEP application was extended to this Friday. So please, if you have high schoolers, have them fill it out by high schoolers, and it's up to 24, so fill it out by this Friday, because I don't think they're gonna extend it again.
Right, one more thing, for the Summer Rising parents can, do the application by March 25th. So you have like 2 more weeks to fill up the application for Summer Rising. That's it.
All right, so if there are any questions for Rosa and CEC4? All right, see, no, is there anyone in the attendees? No, okay. I'm still getting used to like checking the Zoom and checking in here. Is there anyone here for CEC5? Are they still? We have tried contacting CEC5 and we haven't heard back from them, so I'm gonna try one more time to contact them. If not, we might just take them off of the informational updates. Angel, the slide. All right, anyone here from the district attorney's office? I know they said that they weren't gonna give a update every month, but do you have anything for this month? All right, there's no one on, right?
Not that I recognize, no.
All right, so seeing no hands, we're gonna get into our, you said you
Presentation.
didn't see anyone.
Yeah, Tanisha is there.
Tanisha?
Tanisha,
Oh,
yeah,
Tanisha's from the district.
No, I'm saying for the presentation, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, the presentation, yeah. All right, we're now gonna go into our presentations and discussions. All right, so our first presentation is exploring the role of youth advocacy advisory councils in violence and firearm injury prevention, New York Academy Yes,
Sorry to interrupt. Tanisha Grant is there from the
the first like update, oh, okay,
the first presentation
Oh, okay.
update that
all right,
was
sorry.
in there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So,
The IBO thing?
yeah, the IBO, so that's what I have. Drifting from the plan, changes to early childhood budgets, independent budget office. Is that what we're?
My apologies.
we're-
I need sleep. I'm sorry.
Rose on timeout.
We'll see, we're on time out for the rest of the meeting. All right. Now we'll get into our presentation. Does anyone else have anything to say before? Okay. Exploring the role of youth advisory councils in violence and firearm prevention, New York Academy of Medicine, committee to assist with brainstorming and formatting, engagement, events / programs. Is there anyone here from the Academy of Medicine?
Yeah,
Is that-
hi, Olivia. I'm on here on behalf of Dr. Danielle LaRoccarina. So this is more, I don't have a presentation. We just wanted to follow up. We presented in December, I believe, on our Youth Advisory Council development. And as we've been working on that and going through any feedback we got from all of you last time, we've been thinking that hopefully in the next month or two, we would like to plan an event to continue with engagement and development steps. So I guess we're really just wanted to check in with what potential dates could work and if people would be interested in an engagement type event. And we were thinking this could be at the New York Academy of Medicine and kind of just create a space for people to be invited to come and discuss steps in this Youth Advisory Council development for violence and firearm injury prevention. We would have food and kind of make it a event for people to come together. So we just wanted to put that out there and see if there's any feedback on times that would work best or ideas that would make it work better for everybody.
All right, I have a few questions, but I'm gonna open it up to the committee first. Does anyone have any questions? No? All right, so what exactly type of event, just to refresh everyone, what type of event are you planning for engagement? Is this like you wanna have, like, what population do you want us to get, like, youth to come and give ideas about what they would like in an advisory committee? Are you looking for an advisory committee to come out of this?
Yeah, I think we still are very much in like developmental stages, so we would love to have youth involved and hear their point of view. I don't think that the event would directly lead into a council forming because I think there's still a lot of steps to go into the development. But I think if we could get youth to attend and really hear their point of view and create a space for discussion and bringing, ideas together and cultivating ideas and steps in the right direction, hopefully.
Okay, what age group would you like? What age group are you looking for?
We're hoping high school, middle school to high school, mainly high school students.
Middle school, that's like a wide range, like you could get an 11-year-old, a 12, 13, are you looking for like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade?
I think we're mainly looking for high school, maybe at some point middle school, but I think we're focusing on high school.
All right, Sage, I saw a question.
Yeah, did anybody go to that town hall, happened in December? I'm not sure what organization it was with, but, looked like it was the
Children's
Children's Aid.
Aid Society did it on December
Those are
15th.
the ones that I was running.
Yeah, so
Yes,
it'd
thank
be
you.
great to connect them with, that sounds like a perfect
Yeah.
alignment.
The thing is, we mostly had middle school for that, and she's looking for high school, that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, it says 12 and up, so that mostly,
Well, I'm
Teens.
saying the way that event, if you were there, it was mostly, the middle schoolers, like, it was a panel and they were asking questions. We don't necessarily have ties to we invited people, but we don't necessarily have like the high school, like the ones specifically that I was working with were middle school. And the ones who were like planning the whole event.
So the event was open to 12 years and up, but the panelists were not 12 years.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like the kids were asking the questions, were
Yeah.
like,
So good. It was
Yeah.
so good.
so that's.
We
There was
can,
maybe like one high schooler in there, 1 or 2 high schoolers in here, yeah. So, yes, that's a good idea, though. Anyone else have any questions?
can I can definitely connect and point you out with 121 high schools if you want.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, send an email and then we can discuss out of the schools.
Were you looking for like East Harlem focused all over the city?
Thank you.
Cause, sorry, you said 121, I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't think there's 121 high schools in East Harlem.
Yeah,
So-
I think don't completely know the answer to that in like long-term sense. I would have to check with Dr. LaRoccarina. I think the recent work has been with high schools in East Harlem, and that's at the moment, I think, where we're focusing it. I don't know if long-term that there's a hope to expand that. But I'll follow up on that. And when we chat, I can let you know.
I would
Um,
also suggest that you attend events that are already scheduled, as was mentioned in the community that address these issues, as opposed to just necessarily want a group to come in and give you information. You should attend the different forums that they have around youth development and youth violence in the community. And I think you'll get a lot more information than just reaching out to a small group and soliciting members.
Yeah.
And I think it would be better to have what your goal and mission is of it, as opposed to just what I'm hearing is gather information. And what is the benefit to the children that would participate in this activity?
Right.
And I'm not talking about a free meal, that's given. So,
Yeah.
you were
and
saying,
you had young people, so I think you should ask young people where they go. You should reach out to the CBOs such as Johnson and Jefferson and Children's Aid that do work with adolescents in the community and those programs. And maybe you want to think about coming to their space and offering them something for gathering information that you will use to create what y'all create over there.
Yeah. Thank you.
you were saying in like 2 months' time is when you wanna do this?
That was what we were thinking, maybe sometime this spring. I think if that was pushed back to sometime over the summer or fall, that would be okay as well. But we
I
definitely
think,
want to get the ball rolling with this hopeful partnership. And then, sorry, go ahead.
I know you were asking for suggestions, but my suggestion is gonna be the summer, just because SYEP reach out for the CBOs that have summer youth employment, because the 14, 15-year-olds, they do project-based learning.
Mm-hmm.
Tina, correct me if I'm wrong, if that would be a good idea to work with the 14, 15-year-olds who are doing the project-based learning.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that sounds great.
David, you're muted. Oh, you said okay, all right. Sorry, I can't really see you. All right, does anyone have any more questions or comments for New York Academy of Medicine? Olivia? All right, you have my email, and I think you should have David's email. Just reach out to us and I'll give you Rosa's email and we could discuss this more offline in terms of giving you resources to people. I see CC5.
Yeah,
Is it possible for us to go back?
Yeah,
Angel?
give them the floor.
You have to steering wheel.
Okay. All right, so seeing no further questions, thank you, Olivia, for coming. We'll talk more
Thank you.
offline.
Yes.
Just quickly, if no one is opposed, can we go back to informational updates? Cause I see we have people from CC5 on. So you have the floor. I see CC5, so I don't know names or who it is.
Hi, thank you. This is CC5's president, Shadell Barnhill. I'm sorry, I'm on the bus and traveling, trying to listen intently to the presentation. So far for our updates, we weren't able to pass a resolution dealing with the COVID funding monies on our last February agenda, so I put it back on our agenda for March. I'm pretty confident that all our members will be voting yes for that, because we don't want to give any government agencies back any funds that we need to fund our schools. For our entire district, we have an April upcoming where we're trying to take at least 350 individuals, which are parents and students from our district, to the Met Gala for the Harlem Renaissance feature that they have. So it's going to be a night at the Met for next month. This month, as far as our presenters, we just had a presenter who dropped off, and had we not reached out to them, I wouldn't have known. We had our capital funding, who was on the last agenda. I think that that part went over great, except that we really are now understanding that the cut to our funding was in such a deficit to our schools that they really can't do much. And also with the $60 million that was cut from school food, I had an individual from school food who was actually there, and what she's asking is that, you know, that parents and school officials send out emails or just letters of asking that certain things be brought back onto our menu, because the cut is definitely so intense. But they're also launching a new program, and it's up to the school's principals that if they have excess food in excess, that they can take it and they can distribute it to families who need it or organizations who need it, or they can give it out to another school. School food will only refrigerate the items, but as far as picking up or anything, the entity who wants it, if they're CBO, they have to coordinate that with the principal. And that's about it for our update.
All right, thank you. We appreciate if you came back every month. We're really happy to see you. Well,
Yes, you know, when you're the president, everybody puts the load on you, and I can't be 20 places at one time. But
it's
I'm here.
I get it. We appreciate anytime you are here, though. So,
Thank you guys for putting us on your agenda.
does anyone have any questions for, I'm sorry, can I get your name again? It like kind of broke up.
Shadell Barnhill.
Shadell?
Yes.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Shadell?
Okay.
All right, so we hope you'll come back every month and look forward to working with you in the future. So we're gonna go
Yes.
back. We're gonna go back to our presentations. All right, so our next presentation, support of sustaining key educational programs funded with expiring federal COVID-19 relief. Committee to consider adopting resolution. So who is presenting?
Tanisha.
Tanisha.
Hello, hi, hi, Community Board 11. Great to be here with you. Tonight I am going to put on my coalition hat. I am the executive director of Parents Supporting Parents New York and Miles United for Black Lives New York City. We are a community-based organization that does a lot of work in Harlem, East Harlem, Uptown, we all over the place, and all the other boroughs. But tonight I come to you as Parents Supporting Parents New York coalition member of our Emergency Education Coalition team. And we want to talk to you about COVID-19 programs that were funded by the COVID-19. We call them COVID-19 programs because they were funded by COVID-19 money. But these are all programs that we surely needed before the pandemic happened and that we surely need now. So if I could get screen sharing permission, and also if we could promote my colleague, Molly, who is going to present with us, with me, that would be great.
You can present and I'll promote your colleague.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So while my colleague is being promoted, I will share my screen and we can get into the presentation. Okay, so everybody see this?
Yes.
Great. So hello. How will we sustain critical education programs once COVID-19 relief funding runs out? Raise your hand if you believe that every young child should have the chance to attend 3K. I can't see y'all, but I hope that y'all raising your hand. Raise your hand if you believe that every preschooler with a disability should get the special education services and classes that they need and have a right to receive. I'm sure you are raising your hand. Raise your hand if you believe that every student should attend a school that has a social worker and a nurse.
Yes.
I'm sure that you are raising your hand. Raise your hand if you believe Every school should be a community school, offering wraparound supports for children and families. Raise your hand if you believe every parent should have access to translation and interpretation services that they need to play a meaningful role in their child's education. Raise your hand if you believe that every student living in shelter should have a coordinator or site focused on their education. This is not the reality in New York City's public schools, sadly. While New York City has expanded all of these programs in the recent years, these programs and many others are at risk of facing significant budget cuts. Federal COVID-19 funding, we got $7 billion went to the Department of Education. This was temporary funding. It funded long-term needs. DOE expects, now the New York City public school system expects the funding to run out by June 30th, 2024. Deadline for using this funding, September 30th, 2024. No plan yet to sustain key education programs. Let's look at some of the ways New York City is using its federal COVID-19 relief money this year. And I will turn it over to my colleague to talk about that. And Molly, I will do the slides for you.
Thank you so much, Tanisha. So as Tanisha said, these funds, though they are temporary, they are funding programs that are not temporary. They are funding programs that existed before the pandemic and are going to exist long after the pandemic. So for instance, one of the programs that is about to be cut is the expansion of 3K. This funding allowed the city to guarantee a 3K seat for every 3-year-old in 12 of the 32 community school districts and to double the number of children participating in 3K. Even with the city funding that's built into the budget, the city is going to need $93 million to keep 3K at its current level when the federal funding expires. So again, just to be clear, we are not talking about expanding 3K. We are talking about cutting 3K back. There are going to be less 3K seats next year. Some other things that are going to be cut, preschool special education. So as we all know, children are entitled to special education when they enter preschool. This federal funding helped the city address the significant shortage of legally required special education programs. They helped programs recruit and retain certified special education teachers. Again, these programs are going to be cut back. We are going to be facing more severe staffing shortages. We are going to be seeing program cuts. School social workers. So I know everybody, I don't know for sure because I couldn't see everyone, but I'm assuming everyone raised their hands when they said they wanted their children to have social workers. Using this federal funding, the DOE hired 450 school social workers, allowing approximately 194,000 students to gain access to a social worker. Even so, there is only one school social worker for every 435 students enrolled in New York City schools. And about 240,000 students do not have access to a full-time social worker. So for anyone interested, the recommended number of social workers to students is not 435. Usually they recommend 1 to 200, something like that. No one raised their hand saying, I think we have enough social workers. We are going to lose 450 social workers. We are going to have 194,000 more students without social workers. Moving right along, school nurses. Some of this federal funding was used to enable every school building to have a nurse. Before the pandemic, at least 137 schools serving a combined total of 70,000 students did not have a school nurse. Guess what? They are about to not have a school nurse again. Community schools. So schools partner with community-based organizations. They provide students and help their families with comprehensive wraparound services. This federal funding helped the DOE increase the number of community schools from 266 in 2020-2021 to more than 400. Guess what? That number is about to go backwards. We can skip this. Congratulations, we got the funding for SEED. Way to go. We are, however, losing money going towards restorative justice practices. So these are practices that allow more schools to use alternatives to school suspensions. They keep students in classrooms and they help them build and repair relationships. Restorative justice has been proven to work and to be very beneficial for students. The majority of the city's funding for restorative justice programs is about to get cut. School psychologists and family workers. Similar to the school social workers, the DOE used some of this federal funding to hire about 60 psychologists and 15 family workers to address delays in the evaluation process for students with disabilities. During the first year of the pandemic, when students were out of schools, evaluations dropped by 57%. Those numbers are about to tick up, but when you factor in how many shortages there are in special education, and then factor in the fact that a lot of students aren't even getting diagnosed, it's a big deal, and it's about to get worse. All right, so bilingual programs, translation, and interpretation services. The DOE used some of this federal funding to hire bilingual staff to support the education of English language learners, only 46% of whom graduated from high school in 4 years before the pandemic. More than 40% of students, definitely more than 40 students, speak a language other than English at home. And the need for translation and interpretation services continue to grow because, as we know, more students than ever are in need of bilingual services. Their families are in need of bilingual services. That funding is getting cut despite the number of the population of students who need it growing. Shelter-based community organizers. Similarly, we have more students than ever in temporary housing. The DOE used some of this money to hire 75 shelter-based community coordinators to help students experiencing homelessness or living in temporary housing to get to school and get support with school-related needs. And especially with everything going on with the 30-day shelter limits, more students than ever are in need of coordinators to help them get to their schools. That funding is about to go away. Literacy instruction and dyslexia programming. I know that you guys were talking about this earlier. Obviously, we want to teach children how to read. This funding helped support screening. It helped support specialized programs for students with dyslexia, and it targeted reading interventions in dozens of schools. For those of you who are keeping up with all of these dyslexia program initiatives and all of these new requirements for the curriculum in schools, what teachers have been reported as happening, the programs have started. They are required to get those programs in. The teachers are supposed to be trained on the new programs. The funding has been cutting out when teachers go to receive their training. So what is happening is that teachers are officially being obligated to implement instructions that they have not been trained on. It is a very bad time for that funding to go away. Student success centers that allow trained youth leaders to build a culture of college going in 34 high schools and help their peers with the college admissions process. Learning to work programs. So the federal funding paid for about $33 million, providing support to overage and undercredited students to help them earn a high school diploma and develop a post-secondary plan. That money represents more than 70% of the program's total budget. So this is an example of a restoration because the DOE did not expand learning to work, but it used federal funding to replace the city funding that it used before COVID. So here is a list of all of those programs we just listed. And just as a reminder, like, again, this is not a wish list. These are programs that are going away. Also, if you add all of these numbers up, you are going to see that we're not spending $7 billion every year. We're spending about $1 billion. We know that between the city and state, we know that there is $1 billion somewhere in that budget for all of these programs that our students frankly need. And I will let Tanisha talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you so much, Molly. That was amazing. So students don't have to lose these programs. There are options at both the city and state level to raise funds for these programs. Here we have our options, the options at the city and state level. We have the New York City Comptroller, the Independent Budget Office, and Invest in Our New York campaign, which I will say the One House budgets came out today, and they do have language around taxing the rich. So these three entities have all identified multiple proposals to allow the city and state to raise revenue that could be used to support these programs. Show lawmakers that you support saving these programs. We're asking everyone to sign up for our call to action, whether you are an educator, whether you are a parent, whether you are a student, whether you are a community member that understands that a high quality education is everything. You can scan this QR code. And we also have a survey about the call to action to let us know if there are any other ways that you want to get involved. And that is the end of our presentation. We will take any questions that you may have. And we also know that we sent you over. We're hoping that Community Board 11 will stand with us and write a reso. And I believe that we sent that over, a draft.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I saw that. I need to pull it up in my email. While I pull that up, Sage, you had a question.
Yeah, I think these are all great uses of the federal funding and are really important programs. So I plan to support the resolution that's like on the paper that we were given. But I'm just wondering, like, given that this was like temporary funding provided by the federal government, why did we use the funds for long-term things when we knew that eventually we would have this problem?
That's a great question.
Fantastic question.
And it's one that we continuously ask. A lot of times, we have found that certain people in the Department of Education, they say one thing and they do another. So that's why we make it a big point to consistently say that these are services that our children should have had in place before the pandemic. What the pandemic did was shine a bright light on all the inequities that we always talk about, but might not really see day to day. The pandemic brought all of those out. And these are some of the inequities that, our coalition fight every day. So, we are all, advocates for education. My oldest daughter is 30, so that just tell you how long I've been an advocate for education. It's very, very important. And I think that, we should be asking, the Department of Education these questions. We need a fully funded education budget that's not going to give to some of our children and take from some others. That's inequity.
There's also so much buck passing that goes on. When we talk about like, why did we use this money for temporary problems? Because some of the people using the money for temporary problems were like, I don't know if when this money runs out, if it will still be my problem. And unfortunately, we still see a lot of that right now, even in our own coalition, going through all of this. Every time we go to someone at the city, they're like, well, this is really more of a state issue. And every time we go to someone at the state, they say this is really more of a city issue. And then when we confront both of those entities and say, well, that's not true. Like, we have the money, like Tanisha said, they're like the IBO, the comptroller, and for a New York Opportunity, they all say, no, this is very doable. When confronted by that fact, they go, well, it's federal money. you know, like talk to them. And the truth is, no, we very much have it within our power to do something. Somebody just needs to say, okay, I'm going to be the hero.
I just want to piggyback on what Molly said. We live in one of, if not the richest city in the world. We have over 120 billionaires that live in New York State. We have over 700 ultra millionaires. That means they don't got 1 million, they don't got 2 million, they got a whole bunch of millions. So it's time for everyone to pay their due share. And if they did, you know, education for our kids would be what it should be, if closer to what it should be.
Yeah, I agree with you. Rosa, you had a question?
Have a lot of comments, but it's okay.
I'm gonna go to David first.
Yes, please.
So, you know, this is like the circle that doesn't end and we go revolving around. So all these issues, thank you, Tanisha, and thank you, Molly, for the presentation. Every time that I hear you speak, Tanisha, you know, we get closer, but we don't get the bag of gold. And you know, it's nice that we got this money because of COVID. And the fact that it supplied long-term needs that was so much there. Those that don't work in schools, and I work in a school, have now realized as we've returned from COVID, you may had 1, 2 special needs kids in the class. Now you have maybe 30, 40, 50% undiagnosed special needs as a result of COVID, and where we didn't have enough before, and we got our fair student funding, but it seems as we got it, it was taken or diverted to where we're getting now. So again, we have not caught up, Sage. These are long-term problems that, you know, somewhere we have to provide an intervention. But I'm telling you, I'm afraid. I work in a school, and the amount of 5 and 6 year olds that do not have the social emotional skills where they should have been pre-COVID are so far behind now that we're moving forward.
It's a big problem. And we didn't even, you know, present on the mental health, right?
Right.
Like our children are still like a lot of our children watch people around them die. Like, you know, and our children were told, like, just go back to school. No, they're children. You know what I'm saying? So even though we didn't talk about the mental health aspect, I just want to put that in there. So we just want to encourage, you know, all of our community boards, our CECs, you know, everyone to pass these resolutions and add your name, you know, to this work and come, you know, organize with us. So, you know, we can finally say as a community, like, stop shortchanging our kids and really stop shortchanging our kids after a horrible, horrible pandemic where 1 million Americans died.
I'm just
on further, and I'll just add this, Ash. You know, we haven't even begun to talk about the other supportive things through DYCD that are being cut drastically. And right now, where we used to have a middle school program in the summer because it was expansion, I don't have a middle school program in the summer. Where do the kids go that I've been serving the 70 kids during the school year, right? So this is not getting better, even with the money. And we need more money than we're losing to
And
balance out.
You brought up a really good point, because you talk about cuts that other departments are experiencing, which is really important to note. None of the programs that we just listed are programs that are being cut because of the mayor's budget. These are separate cuts than all of his than the pegs. They are separate cuts. They are separate than the adjustments to the foundation aid formula. They are separate. All of these issues are converging, but it's really important that we don't conflate them. Like, please, like, as Tanisha said, like, pass our resolution, like, let them know that it is really unacceptable that they funded these problems knowing full well they were going to expire and didn't come up with a plan to do anything about it. And now they're really counting on people not noticing, or counting on people chalking these problems up to, well, it's just budget cuts, you know, well, it can't be helped, well, it's the city's problem, well, it's the state's problem. It's very much our problem. Our students are going to suffer more than they already are. Like we're providing them with a framework of what's normal, and this is not it. This is not what they should be expecting.
Yeah, just quickly before I go to Angel, I want to add on to what David said. Cause a lot of times we talk about like the younger kids and stuff, but even the older kids and people my age, cause I was a sophomore when COVID, like the world shut down. My brother was in like seventh grade, so it's like developmental years that were lost. That these kids who are now like juniors in high school, they still, some of them are just like catching up from that middle school mentality because the world shut down during their middle school years. And I have one question. Usually for committee resolutions, we wait a month just so that way the committee can read it and process it and make a decision. So is this a time sensitive matter?
I would say so. Right now, we're in budget season. So for the state, an assembly and governor are wrangling over their budget right now. Today, both one house budgets came out for the assembly and for the state. So, you know, the budget is due April 1st. That would be too late. So yeah. And then we have the city budget that is due on July 1st. But understand, last year our state budget was a one-timer. It was the first time. It's over $200 billion, our state budget last year. And our city budget is worth over $100 billion. So what are we prioritizing? Because with budgets that big, we have countries, literally our police budget is 13 billion. Like we have countries who don't have that type of money to run their whole country. There's no reason why our children's public education shouldn't always be fully funded.
All right. Angel, when's school board?
The 26th.
Okay, would the end of the month be good for you? Cause if we vote on this today, we'll vote on it at full board and we could get it to you by April 1st, before April 1st.
Thank you. We would appreciate that.
Rosa?
And we would love to hear what y'all think about our reso. Like, I have more comments if you have them.
So point of information, we passed it last month in our CEC District 4. I brought Randy, and I was like, wait a minute, the different platforms that we can bring them on, especially like this resolution and these cuts really hit me because I have an autistic child that during the pandemic, I literally had to like advocate really strongly for my child to get IEP, to get a 504, and like 2 years after, it took me 2 years to advocate for my own child to get the services. And even up until now, I'm still like checking on her, like checking on the teachers, checking on the special education. We need special education teachers. We like everything that was mentioned here from 3 cases. Definitely, I took advantage of that back in 2019. Social workers, we need them. Special education, nurses, the school, librarians, psychologists, language services, we need everything. And we cannot have anyone take money from our children. So I after Angel, I would like to propose that we vote on this resolution.
Yeah. Yeah, what people don't realize is a lot of the schools don't have all the special education services that you need. Because like, I remember just being younger, having to be sent somewhere else for like occupational therapy because my school didn't have it, so.
Absolutely, and we have a real big problem with teacher retention. We can always come back and present on more stuff if you want us to, because you know there's a lot of different areas in education that need attention and just is not getting the funding that they need. I also have a grandson who is nonverbal and you know on the spectrum, and I also, and being the amazing advocate I am and having the pull that I have and being in these you know, in these arenas, I still have to advocate like crazy for him to get anything that he should, you know, be entitled to.
All right, I'm gonna go to Angel because Angel raised his hand about 10 minutes ago.
So I have brief questions and all I need is brief answers. So one I'm putting my email in the chat. Please forward me a copy of your slide deck. Then I'm remiss in saying, you know, Tanisha and Molly, great job with the presentation. And great job with crafting the reso. Usually we get nonsense. This is well written. I appreciate it. Molly, you mentioned on point 7 under the second whereas that the seed program is funded. Are you suggesting therefore that we remove that or just or keep it?
Well, that's, we can still have that, right? Because it's,
Well, hold on, Molly?
So they have temporarily found funding to keep the seed program going. So they've done that periodically with a few programs that were initially being cut with this federal funding. Like they did the same thing with Summer Rising. They found more temporary funding. So for the time being, while we can't guarantee that the seed program is going to last forever, they have temporarily.
Just keep-
So your suggestion is to keep it?
Yeah, I would just.
I just want to say that the strides that they have made to roll back the cuts is because of our advocacy, right? When they said they was going to cut back on Summer Rising.
Still selling, we got you. I got it.
We're
doing
we're
great job
agreeing with
selling.
you.
I'm just
We love-
trying to give you the back.
Administrative question for us in preparing this thing. If you're suggesting that we keep it, that's the only answer I needed, and then they'll debate on whether they're gonna support it or not. So yes, right?
Definitely.
Presenters, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. That's it. Simple questions. Appreciate it.
Alright, that's it. Alright,
You have a hand up in the public from Joanna Dominguez.
okay, yeah, she's from the CC board. Alright, Johanna, you got floor. If Angel will.
Hello, hi, my name is Johanna Dominguez. I'm part of the CEC. A few members know me here. Even that I'm the PA president of my kids' school. And I just have, it's going to sound a silly question, but I just want to make, you know, when you know something is wrong, but you get stuck because people and politicians and many people around let you know, like, no, that's not so bad, it is so good. Well, on the last chancellor CEC members that we have here in District 4, it was February 5th. I remember I asked the chancellor, how is possible we have all this lack of money and budget is going to reduce and all that, and you are incorporating $93 million in a door locked security system. And his answer was like, oh, we have many needs on the schools, and this one, sometimes you need to choose between one and one, like all necessary. And I was, you know, that was the answer. It was in the public place. I don't want, no drama, no things. But then I was working on my brain and checking on the news. In which way a door lock is a VIP important situation that you spend $93 million when we have a school and my place as a parent, my child in 7th grade, I need to have an OT that I need to bring him, pick him up, and all do the effort extra class because the school doesn't have one available for my 7th grader. The C programs, my kids are in the C programs, but they reduce the amount of students in the C programs, and they are not renewing for next program too. Even that the C programs is just has so far like 2 years because my kids was one of the first ones on the C program, like the trying one. My kids was on it, and I know they open it now in many schools in the whole borough. But the thing is, I just want to ask you because I see you know many things. Am I crazy, or
No,
what?
Johanna, you're not crazy at all. It's exactly what we're saying. Instead, that's kind of like criminalization of our children instead of giving them the mental support they need, the social and emotional support they need. So what happens a lot is instead of putting money into resources that will uplift their child, positively, they put a whole bunch of resources into, criminalizing our schools. We see it playing out in our subways as well, but that's another.
Thank you. That's what I
But
say.
that's the
Like
same
this
thing.
is a jail, and you're putting a lock on it. I know violence and we know many situations, but you already have a safety security person on the doors. We know in our district we have many schools that doesn't have two of them or maybe have one. They still working and hiring people. We understand that, but you're spending $93 million and a door lock.
Johanna, I don't mean to cut you off. I appreciate you mentioning it for the people who didn't know. I just want to give the committee members a chance to read this before we agree. Does anyone oppose to voting on this tonight? Yeah, sorry.
I just wanna make a motion.
Well, we gotta read it.
Oh.
I gotta give y'all like a minute to read it, I think technically, or did everyone read it while we were sitting here?
We're good.
Everyone read it.
We good? All right, then yeah. Yeah, go.
Motion to support the resolution as it is written, and provided.
Second.
Is that good enough?
Thank you, Johanna, again. I'm sorry to cut you off.
And I agree with everything you just said, Johanna. I have my comments too.
Just call the roll.
Oh, yeah, oh, sorry, yeah, Angel, follow.
All right, committee members, please answer when I call your name with your vote. Rosa Diaz?
Yes.
David Giordano?
Yes.
John Green?
Aye.
Sage Mason?
Aye.
Jennifer Mayer?
Yes.
Asher Rodriguez?
Yes,
Isaac Scott?
Yes.
Russell Schuler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
all right, so thank you so much for your presentation. I look forward to you guys maybe coming back and presenting on the, you mentioned like teacher retention. So just fill out the same form you did this time and come back if you would like. And we appreciate the information. I look forward to maybe seeing you around or meeting you in person at some point. So thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having us. Thank you for passing this reso. Very excited. Me and Molly both put our emails in the chat if you need to reach out to us. And we can also present on childcare because that's another big issue for us. So let us know when you have time to put us on your schedule again. It's been a pleasure.
If you
Thank
could
you.
just email out for the record, I think, Angel, yeah. If you guys could both just read your email, I know you put in the chat, but if you could read it out for the record.
Okay, mine is Tanisha1@pspnyinc.org.
And mine is msenac, SENACK, @sydney.org. Sydney
All right.
spelled CIDNY.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Right.
you.
Angel could pull up the slides. The committee goal statement. I remember we discussed this and it was long. And then we shortened it. I don't know why this is still on the thing. I don't remember us having anything else to do with this. I'm pretty sure we
So,
voted on
Ash,
this last one. Yeah,
we completed the mission statement. The committee goals are the things that we would choose to work on. And at the end of the year, we evaluate whether we have achieved those or not. So they're two different things. Maybe we should poll the committee goals for another month and work on presenting something at next month.
Angel got his hand up.
So, our vice chair, Jessica, Celeste Elliott, so many people.
It's okay.
Yeah. She had mentioned since we've, the last couple of years, you've noticed like when we do attendance, we've shifted to like what we call the meetings calendar, like the September through. And she suggested, and the reason we did that is because members are appointed, mid-calendar. So we shifted it so that when members are appointed and then assigned to committees, their attendance reflects their actual time and membership, the actual time of their assignment. So, her further thought is that we do goals the same way. So I say that not to say that you guys shouldn't work on it, but to say that, based on that recommendation of hers, you probably have more time to do it if you wanted to. Does that
What
make
I
sense?
think that we should do is pull up the old ones we have we'll table this for next month, pull up the old ones we have, email it to everyone. And then if anyone has any comments, please email me before the meetings, that way we do not spend an hour in the meeting discussing, discussion is good.
Sound like a chick.
Discussion is good,
Tho-
but
Those things were sent
Spending an
out in the
hour-
beginning of the year. As we developed the mission and the goals were sent out together. So we never reviewed and changed any goals from the previous goals. But Angel is right, and we usually do that in September and October as we come back during the year.
but I'm saying since there's a lot of new committee members, at least send out the old ones we have, so that way people are aware of them, and then, yeah. And then just think. Just so that way people could think for when we go in September and start redoing them again. People know what the old ones are.
Right.
Can
Isaac,
it's to you too, Andrew. Like, that does seem good on the onboarding front, but coming into September is budget season. It's already like really hectic, so.
Yeah, I'll clarify, like, the idea wasn't to, for you guys, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Wasn't to have you start from scratch in September, but to
Yeah.
have something that you're adopting in September.
Got it.
So like you would work on it now, for example, work on it now, have your 3, 4, 7,000 goals. And then just adopt it in September, and then those are your goals for that meeting session.
Right.
So it could be, you know, a couple of minutes of a conversation, doesn't have to, you know, because yes, budget should be the focus.
Russell.
We know this is gonna happen every year, the way we onboard new members. So that we put it a part of our strategic onboarding, that these are the expectations of the newcomers and place the existing committee members in a position where we already know that's happening. That's a process, that onboarding, they get into the flow. We're in the flow of producing something. By the time September comes, we have enough information to be able to present. As we said, we always playing catch up, knowing that this is going to happen. There should be across all committees. That's true.
So what I hear there is that Russell volunteered to help onboard the new members of the youth committee.
Yeah.
Okay, you're wrong there.
I'm saying I'm volunteering to do that, and I will be part of the committee to do something so the whole, every committee. That works.
Okay,
It's a great idea.
I will take your offer gladly.
I feel those same ways when it comes to like budget, and, cause it's a lot to explain that whole process to people in September. It's a lot. And then really have an expectation for people to contribute with an informed mind in October.
So over time, because if we have it established that when new board members come on board, they know what's expected of them. And they should at least know what they're getting into and what we need them in.
New board members come in May, from what I understand, correct, Angel?
It
May,
is,
June.
like, you know,
Yeah.
May-ish, to be clear.
It's been delayed last few years.
So, yes, it has been delayed. You didn't know I was a ventriloquist over Zoom, but. So it's been, you know, it's been bouncing around. It's supposed to be April 1st, but you know, I'm supposed to be 6 months on. So it just happens when it happens. But like the last couple of years has been late. I'm hoping this year it's on time. But so what we've been doing is because it's been delayed, we adjusted assignments. To take some of the pressure off members when they're just newly appointed, you know, and just, you know, giving them a couple of months to like look around. And then make up, you know, pick stuff, and then the chair will make the assignments, you know, decisions over the summer.
Okay, John.
I think it's a great idea because I believe this year I had 2 or 3 new members in housing. And to explain the budget and knowing you only have like September, October to get all that done, it's a little difficult. I said to them, I said, I know you feel like you're being thrown in the middle of hell, but this is the way it is. But if I can get any new members for housing like around May-ish, like you said, the thing is perhaps we can do, I can start telling them about the budget in like take a few minutes. Like in the May and June meetings, say, listen, this is what the budget is. We start this right after Labor Day. And we have to get this stuff done immediately. And so if that can be done, they're telling people when they get there, what's expected of them. And give them a brief taste of what's expected. That would work, that would help out a lot. I think that would help out just about any and all committees. I think.
You know what I'm saying? Well in advance of that. So it should be every board member that's coming on board should has as a something that Angel and I can work on.
Angel's not working on it. You volunteer. I believe in you. I believe in you, Russell.
I'm just saying, whatever we can
You are
do.
a capable person.
Yes, all right, we'll agree that, but I'm just saying, if we could have it where you're a new board member, if these are things that are gonna be expected. Budgetary things is important, and let's get the introduction to what the budget is.
One of my,
Get familiar with it, so no matter what committee you land on, you're gonna be landing where you gotta be with that committee budget.
Some knowledge.
I'm gonna be, sorry, I'm gonna be completely honest, like this, like one of my goals for next year is for the budget to be more of a committee effort, because it mostly, I'll give credit to David that David did a lot. It shouldn't just be the David and me budget. Like, it should be the whole committee budget.
That's what I'm saying.
Cause then when people don't comment and we're asking you to comment, we're just gonna assume that you're okay with whatever is in the budget. So, and it's two people's opinion, like, was it, how many we have in the committee? 12 people's opinion is better than two people's opinion in terms of getting a good sample size. And I think in May, when if the new members come by May, just gonna keep knocking on wood for that. If the new members come in May, we should do like if we have time in either the May or the June agenda, do a brief overview of how the budget works, like on a committee level, cause David and I know what we gotta do, but just on the committee level, plant the seed, so that way people know this is coming.
The taste of the budget.
Cause we don't wanna make Angel do everything, we don't wanna make me and David do anything.
Yeah, so this is turning into a budget meeting and I'm glad.
Yeah.
Kind of. So yes, it's a ton, and I know that we asked you to do a ton, but frankly, you made us ask you to do a ton, because community boards asked for all this. So the idea of starting to have the conversation in April or May or whatever is music to my ears. Yes, absolutely, you guys should be talking about your district needs sections and your corresponding budget requests, and start like making your notes and getting prepared so that in September, you're not starting from zero, you're starting from something. And a new member appointed to the committee, this shouldn't be controversial, but whatever. If you're brand new to the board and you haven't worked on this issue for the last 4 or 5 years, you're learning what the issues are, right? The issues that the board's been working on. So I never have the expectation that someone that completely brand new to the board is gonna have, 4 or 5 budget requests to add in September of each year. It's kind of a stretch. Sometimes they do, and a lot of the times those requests completely conflict with what the board's been doing the last 5 years. But that's for you guys to wrestle about.
And I'm saying just
But-
understanding the process.
So, yeah, I'm gonna get to that. So in terms of the committees, individual committees, what you're saying, yes, I suggest that 1,000%. I support that idea 1,000%. In terms of the onboarding, like we've tried to do a couple of different ways, and members are coming in like, what the hell's going on? Because it's just too much, the last couple of years, starting with the pandemic, I've been doing these video calls, and it's like an hour and a half. People's eyes are glossing over, because I have to be so high level that it gets boring, to just look at a slide deck, but I'm also trying to keep it brief so that I'm not overwhelming people. However, before that, we tried a couple of different ways to do the onboarding, and one of the things sounds kind of, what I'm hearing, and correct me if you think differently, sounds kind of like something that we tried before, is we had this onboarding event for everybody in person, and then we had the chairs set up in different spots, and you would go to each one of the chairpersons or the leadership of that particular committee and kind of spend a little time with that chair and ask them hear what they've been working on, and get to know that person and ask them questions. So just really kind of scratch at, what the committees may be doing and kind of start to create a base of understanding of what the committee's been doing from the perspective of your new colleague, as opposed to, the staff saying, hey, here's 8,000 pieces of white paper to read. So that, what I heard when you were saying it, and I think that's a good idea. I thought that members were receptive to that. Not that I don't want to keep doing this like that, but I will, because I'm being asked to. But in terms of like helping to bring on your new colleagues by spending, some time with them, and hey, this is how this works on my committee. And the budget thing's a whole other lift, right? Like that's a hell of a lot. If you have some good ideas, I'll listen to them. I've tried everything. I'm out of ideas. Well, you heard me at exact, yeah. I'm about to lose it.
And I've heard you vote.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, like that kind of, between members kind of, discussion and like, hey, look, there was also an idea about like mentoring new members a couple of years ago, but it kind of didn't kind of start. But other boards do it, and I think it's a good idea. And while I'm, partly teasing about you volunteering, I'm also serious. I think it is helpful for a brand new member. Like, let's pretend, like, when did you come on, last year? Right, let's pretend Sage is brand new, right? And then we say, okay, we're gonna, buddy you with Russell. Russell's been on the board 5, 6, 7, 8 years, been in the community active, blah, 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 blah. You spend a couple of months just chatting or whatever, you're gonna know a ton, right? Just from Russell's lived experience and then board experience. And I think members are more receptive, or you might have been more receptive than hearing me kind of drone and doing something that I don't want to do. Kind of telling you coldly, like, do you have to do this by this day and this day and this day? Like, the guy telling me a lot of things that I have to do, and I'm gonna stop listening after a couple of minutes. However well intended, but it's just kind of the deal. So that's what I heard. You might have.
And I'm saying it that way, so basically, every one of us that came on board, we came on board because we were energized that we wanted to be engaged. If we could have come on board knowing, wow, what we're going to expect, I'm saying that would have been a little helpful, we're jumping into the game.
We've been.
And to answer what you were saying, when committee members sit around the table and there are only a handful that are participating, maybe that's the capacity in which they feel comfortable putting their input, they're not experienced yet. To say, I can feel confident in what I can add to it. So that's a learning curve to get experiential, to be able to be engaging. I don't think there are very few individuals that have that type of alpha personality. They come into fresh and they just taking command.
And I'm saying just like comment, like when I send out and ask for comments on whether it just be, oh, this looks good, that, even if you're telling me you're fine with what it is, that's better than no comment, like, please, because I don't know, I'm not in people's
So
heads.
these are like, we all get questionnaires, I'm assuming that all the stuff that we get, when we get emails, that this, when they ask you a question, how did you feel about this? Let's create something where a general response, do you agree, disagree,
But
or at what level? People can do that without thinking beyond that, because you had to ask simple questions, so you get it more complicated, then people will.
But that's how it's been, like everyone has a list of requests.
Okay.
And you could just email up, it's just a simple email of, is this good or not? If you understand what I'm saying? I also don't wanna spoon feed stuff to people.
Sometimes it might be, that's all right, it's all right, it's all right, that's all right, when people just don't know, they just don't know, and we need to be encouraging.
Yeah.
I think maybe we're doing too much at once. It is
Yeah.
a lot when you're new to get all of the budget requests at once and say, give us your opinion on these 20 budget requests. So what I've been talking with Isaac about for human services is like at the, 5 minutes at the end of every meeting, like what did we talk about today that we're going to need a budget request about? For instance, we've talked about gun violence, multiple meetings, and we don't have a budget request for that at all. So maybe it's just at the end of every meeting, like, what can we write budget requests for? And then it might just be like a signing storm, like I can write one on gun violence, and yes, budget's over this year, but for next year, I think we should have budget request item on gun violence ready. I think if we like piece it together as the year is going on, it makes it less of like a burden at the end of like our budget season to review 20 if we've been reviewing 1 or 2 a month.
I feel like this has shifted from, because when I was originally talking, I was just saying committee members in general, not just new ones, because I understand new ones. I'm saying people.
I think in general, it's a lot,
I-
like, whether
I-
you're new or old, it's a lot to have.
When-
I think this is
20
a
items
good
to
conversation that we're
review.
having,
My,
but
in my.
it's going on and on.
And my idea is that when we bringing new ones on, assuming that the existing ones will get into the fold too, we don't know who the existing one needed that upboarding as well.
And they
So
still, yes.
that's what I'm saying, still needed, so and we can't be that demanding because of the need. We want to have the best input possible, and sometimes the best input could be no input because the ship is moving.
Can I say another thing?
I'll be real quick, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
So I agree 1,000%. 1,000%. We suggested that before, like, it's impossible to think about all this stuff at one point in time. You have an entire meeting session you've been talking about, like, I'm just repeating what you're saying, because yes, we talked about this a number of times, and it didn't take for no good reason,
I'm happy, like.
right? Like, that should be what every committee's doing, because it's unfair, like, I'm so glad you guys are doing that. And it's unfair to the public safety committee to be after 12 months, like, oh, what are our issues? Like, that problem might have been resolved, it might have been lingering all this time. So I'm very glad to hear that, and that will make it 1,000% easier for your committee to do that work. And I would suggest that other committees consider doing the same thing as you go along, right? Like there's a request that exists, and you've been talking all these months, maybe the request has to change, so you start making notes that could edit it for the next year, plus what you're saying of like a new thing. Oh, we hadn't thought about this, so let's write that in our notes so that when we get to that point, we have our list of things that we've been talking about the whole year. And you're also gonna get more buy-in from your committee, so you guys are off to an incredible start.
And we don't know the level of competence of the board members coming on board, we don't know that.
I'm gonna let Isaac go, and then I think I'm gonna close it out, because this is a conversation that we can have a lot more later on.
I think though, Ash, just as a chair, as a new chair, I would just, encourage, because this is a frustration I've had too, in that board member participation, and Angel warned me about it before I became the chair. And then when I became the chair, I understood it more. I think when you don't have a lot of participation from committee members, they're not as informed, which is why they won't give you that feedback you're looking for, even the ones that are established, and then going to Russell's point, some of them may get that on board in the beginning. So I think, just you in your leadership position, just think about how, some of the things I think about is from jump, how do we just be more informative in our meetings, talking about those things so that assuming nobody knows, cause it is, like, I felt the same way, like, man, I could just read it, I read it, but it's like, they're not gonna do it, whether you say that or not, so it's like, if you want people to be informed, you really do have to give them the info, so.
I'm sorry if I sounded really harsh,
You sound like
what's
a chair.
what's it called? What's it called? I'll put in the effort, I just need for everyone else to put in some effort also.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking.
Absolutely.
All right, David, then we're gonna close it
see,
out.
I raise my hand, I patiently wait, everybody goes before me.
And for all the times he interrupted.
I'm a ventriloquist. Anyway, I think we're touching on a lot of different issues here and combining them. One is participation and members' participation in the committee. And it is frustrating as a chair when you reach out and you don't get feedback or you get blank. As Ash said, tell me no, or you agree or something, so that I acknowledge and move on. It's terrible to be waiting on people because you want to give them a voice and you don't want to make those decisions and then not have their voice. Jennifer, I liked your idea. I think, youth violence and gun violence is something we've been touching on in many committees, but we haven't put it as a budget need. And sometimes we need newer members to bring things together that sometimes us older members forget in the work that we do. But I think Angel touched on a lot of other things too. We're talking about orientation of members. We're talking about participation of members in the committee and being active participants in the committee. And then also, how do we orientate people? So I learned the most on the board from different members that I saw as leaders in the board. I tried to attach myself to them and sort them out. In turn, they sort me out. So I think, those are the kinds of things. But Angel's right. We've tried so many different ways. I think you even put together a book, right, Angel? A whole orientation manual. Where's that?
It was partly, yeah.
But I would say the one thing I thought was really good, and we haven't done this since COVID, is we used to have a lot more other events that we shared space together. And it wasn't always just in the immediate work of a committee that brought us together. We used to have barbecues at the back of the board office or at another CBO in the neighborhood. And we came together. And I think those are the kinds of things that help build the camaraderie of working together and then people sharing knowledge. And sometimes we don't have the time in the meeting. And with Zoom, Angel wants to go home. The meeting is over, cut off the tape, and we're gone, right? But we don't have that we have that bonding after meetings that we had. And it's something we need to get back to. Yeah, but people, you got to participate. You got to contribute. And again, leaders will lead whether you there giving opinions or not. But if you want your opinion to be part of the decision, then you got to speak. And yes, if you feel uncomfortable, seek somebody out that can help, mentor you and bring you along. Thank you.
All right, so I'm just gonna close out here. We could discuss this more in our next few meetings. I just don't want, I want to be respectful of everyone's time because it's already 8 p.m. So, so I think we're now on new business. Does anyone have any new business?
Maybe for next meeting, we can have like a little barbecue, weather permitting, outside and just talk about education and safety.
Rosa, if you would like to cook for
That's
that.
business.
and
I
pull up-
cook.
And pull up a barbecue, if you wanna provide that,
Yes.
I think it's a good idea, but like. Okay,
I mean, we'll have dinner while talking about education.
Rosa, next month is April, we have like 10,000 things, okay,
For May.
alright, so, any new business other than that?
I like the idea of like establishing a new norm where like at the bottom of our minutes, we have like potential future budget
I'm gonna say,
proposals.
if I'm doing the minutes, I can just add that and then bring it up every year.
Alright, so seeing no
Thank you,
other
that's a good
new,
idea.
seeing no other new business, Angel, can you call the roll?
Yes.
For someone ready to
Rosa Diaz,
Present.
David Giordano,
He said
Present, sorry.
Stop muting him.
I didn't, John Green,
Out.
Sage Mason,
Here.
Jennifer Meyer,
Present.
Asher Rodriguez,
Present.
Isaac Scott, Russell Schuler.
President.
Alright, this meeting is adjourned at 8:07 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
We have form to end.
Bye.